Well, thank you so much for having this conference, first of all, Rachel. Round of applause for Rachel, everyone. This is awesome. Super excited to introduce you to some amazing human beings to share their thoughts on partnerships and going up market. Without further ado, I know we're getting to the end of the day. We'll get started with Glenn. We'll just do a round of introductions and we'll kick it off into things.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Glenn Cookson. I'm from Underground Ecom. Underground are a retention agency based out of London, but with a global reach of clients. We have 150 active clients at the moment, and a really talented team of over 130 people delivering the work for those guys. So my role for the agency has changed. I've been there 3.5 years now. It was 6 years old. Sort of 2 years ago, I set up the client success department, and with that was sort of birthed the partnerships role. So I sort of stumbled on it, across it, thankfully, organically, but really identified a need for our clients and to really leverage partnerships to bolster our offering, support the clients. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Thank you. James Roberts, VP of Strategy and Business Development with Roswell. And so, Roswell, we're a full-service e-commerce agency. A lot of you know us. And, we focus on verticals like apparel, health and beauty. And I come myself from 20 years in the apparel industry, doing everything from e-commerce, obviously, to sourcing, development, all sorts of things. And, my role, business development, euphemism for sales, but is also, it involves strategy. We're never really selling in this business. We're talking to clients who are trying to build businesses and who are looking for real strategic partnerships. And so, as we're bringing on new clients and talking to clients about deals and, whether they be enterprise or, mid-market, it's always an ongoing conversation about how we can help them achieve their KPIs and reach their goals. And so, I really focus on that along with other team members like Nihar.
I'm Rebecca from Rainy City. We're a Shopify Plus agency based in sunny Manchester, hence the name. And yeah, we focus on all things Shopify, so UX design, development. We do CRO and Meta as well. And partnerships is something that we only kind of realized the importance of, I'd say, like last year. So we've just kind of navigated our way through to what makes a really good partnership and like the importance of making sure that we nurture it, I suppose.
Hello, Hassan Elkami, president and partner at LIM, previously LIM Media. We are an agency that provides staff augmentation and support. We're about 200 people now across 8 countries, and I'm based out in the New York office, but I live in Jersey.
Hi, I'm Carolina. I'm Director of Partnerships at Domain. We are a design development strategy agency focusing exclusively on Shopify Plus, primarily working with enterprise brands as well. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada. We're headquartered in New York, but kind of dispersed globally as well, and also about 200 people.
Awesome. And I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Debbie. I'm also known as the Kenyan who can't run. If you're trying to remember my name, just think Kenyan can't run really quickly. You'll get it. I am currently the CEO of CartStars. It is a think tank comprised of the top e-commerce executive and retail executives from the top 5% of brands in the world. And I'm a former partnerships professional and just really, really excited to dive into this topic about partnerships. So when we were chatting about partnerships in preparation for this, there was sort of a guiding principle that came up organically that I thought would be great to kick off and talk about what it means to everyone here, which was leading with empathy, right? The concept of empathy. So would just love to hear from you all about, how that's a guiding principle and what it means to you.
Sure, I'll kick it off. I think empathy, came up for all of us in this conversation when looking at partnerships. I mean, if you look at the word partnership, it really is about building a mutual relationship, and big emphasis on the word mutual. And I think if you look at any relationship you build across your life in general, all the successful ones are going to be ones that you're leading with empathy, where you're being very honest and showing up as your authentic self as well too. And I think that echoes very true in partnerships.
I got my own. So I think it's important to understand what empathy truly is. I think we tend to confuse empathy with sympathy. Sympathy is feeling bad for someone, right? Empathy is putting yourself in their shoes, trying to look at it from their point of view. And coming from the merchant side before making the leap to the dark side, we got sold. I mean, I got sold. And you get blamed, not the company you go with, not the product you go with. Being in manufacturing and distribution for a very old company, it's been around since the 1800s, and legacy systems. So when you bring in something new, you're going to be the person attached to it. So being on this side of the fence, I bring a lot more empathy to that conversation with our merchants, with our partners, to really listen, take a step or two back, and absorb before we try to execute or move forward with something. Our partners have numbers and quotas. They have an agenda as well, just like we do, each of us. And I think it's important to really take that time to determine if that partnership makes sense for you and for them, so that you're not wasting anyone's time. And that goes back to empathy, right? To truly put yourself in their shoes, because you're going through it too. Regardless of your role, right? Whether you're president or a project manager, right? You really got to take that step back.
Yeah, I think we all get inundated, don't we, with LinkedIn requests and messages on, I've got this new piece of technology, I really want to show it. I think it's going to be amazing for all your clients. And it's whoa, we don't know each other yet. Let's take some time, maybe come and buy the team some lunch, just work on that partnership.
Right?
Yeah. Because I think that's where the best partnerships make, even when, I like to work in a very organic way, and I say that as well when anyone approaches us for a new partnership, in terms of don't be expecting me to flood you leads or do your sales for you, because that's not what I'm here for. And if the opportunity comes up where someone is looking for your product or your service, then for sure I'll be recommending it. But some of the people in the room today, the tech partnerships that we've made, have been an organic getting to know each other, seeing each other at events, continually meeting and chatting, and not just purely being focused on lead generation and thinking about creating more friendships. And I think because it is such a great community, the Ecommerce one and the Shopify one for us, having those friendships and getting to know people in that way first just makes it a nicer environment to work in, and you do want to push that piece of software a little bit more, or that partnership a little bit more, because it's a nicer way of doing things, I think.
Yeah, and in the context of specifically partnerships and closing enterprise deals, there's those kinds of deals take a long time. And so I think honesty, with your partners about the best, what your agency does best, the types of things that you're looking for, who your ICP is super critical, because you don't want to waste any time. If a partner is coming to you with an enterprise deal, the last thing they want is, to have you stumble or not really be the agency to be able to handle it. And so, I think that's a huge part of it, is having really open and honest relationships. And on the flip side, sometimes things don't work out. And I think it's important to always remember it's not a quid pro quo with those relationships. That's not what a real partnership is about. You're looking to provide value. In doing so, you should really know your partner's platforms. You should know what they offer. You should be ready when they come to you with an opportunity. And the guiding principle always should be looking out for the best interests of the client as well, not just closing because a partner came to you with a deal. It's, what are we doing to help this client accomplish their goals should always be in the forefront.
So I guess when I deal with partnerships, I sort of lead with 5 sort of main guiding principles, and I think empathy is a really good word to sort of summarize all those, because you can use that to for each of them and decide if it ticks that box. But for my principles when dealing with partnerships is the first one: always lead with a client. You know, hopefully these won't come as a surprise to anyone, but always lead with a client first approach. The second one is reciprocity. The third one is making sure that you know, you're respectful of that person and yourself and you know, the time, as well as vulnerability and transparency. And I think, you know, keeping all those in mind is really important, because there's a lot of moving parts with partnerships, and I think that's where the empathy play really comes in. Because what's important to me right now might be, you know, on the bottom of your list of priorities, but we might be working on something together. So it's like trying to understand that and making sure ultimately, you know, we're all here for one main reason, and that is to achieve our commercial goals and objectives and targets. That's, you know, there is no getting away from that. But how do we do that in an empathetic way, in a respectful way, I think is really important. So, you know, looking at all those different principles that I just said there as like a consideration.
That's incredible. You know, one of the things that everyone has sort of highlighted in a different way, and I want to just kind of poll the audience and ask this, and it's something that you alluded to, Hassan, is how many times have you thought about when you're selling a product that this person may lose their job over making that decision, right? Because true empathy is realizing that that person, like you said, on the other side has numbers to hit, and that relationship and partnership is like every relationship that you have and requires the same maintenance and upkeep. When we were talking about closing deals, especially enterprise level deals, we talked about it requiring true collaboration. So want to give you a chance to share with the audience what you deem to be true collaboration. And maybe we can start with you, Glenn.
Yeah, so going back to my little guiding principles, I always refer back to, I think the big thing is the reciprocity, you know. What can we do for each other that's going to mutually benefit the pair of us and help us achieve those commercial goals and objectives that we all have, that's going to also, you know, benefit the client that we probably mutually share or are trying to target. So I think true collaboration means time and investment into each other, into each other's products, into each other's offering. There's no way you're going to build a partnership after jumping on, sorry tech people, but a demo call for 45 minutes and an hour and then expect everyone to start selling your tech. That's not happening. Send the Uber Eats vouchers though, they're always welcomed. So yeah, you know, I think if I talk about how I have seen success with collaboration, what I've done, it's literally, you know, sitting down together to work for an hour or two, or booking a Google call and like doing a virtual working session. It's so, and I'm so guilty of this, and I'm sure everyone else is. It's like, oh, Bex, I've got this client, and I've got this other one, and I think we should do this. And you know, we've probably had 10 of those conversations on this holiday. You know, it's then going back to the office to action those, again, going back to our commercial targets and goals, which is what we're all here for. So I think putting time aside to work with each other or work with your key partners is invaluable. And the amount of calls that I've had, this is my little tip and life hack, but the amount of calls that I've had where we booked out an hour with each other or booked out 2 hours, we're not interrupted, and we just do it. We get our spreadsheets out, we make the introductions live and direct on the calls. I've had some of those calls where basically none of us spoke to each other for like 20 minutes, but we're just on the call and camera, and we're just doing it. And I think that's really, really effective to get shit done, because life's super busy at agency side. For all you agency guys, you'll know that. And me and Bex, just using an example, we have a conversation today of a referral, and that's high priority for Bex then, when I tell her that, but then I go back to the office and there's like a client issue that I've got to then jump in on. That's well at the bottom of my radar. So it's like trying to manage all that. And going back to like the being respectful thing, if I promised something, I always wanted to try and make sure I deliver it. So then it's being transparent and saying, sorry, we're going to have that conversation next week, not now. So that's how I would say I get success from collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting when you find a new tool that you can utilize with your clients on the flip side, right? And, so something that you can bring, for example, for conversion rate optimization that you can see is going to have a really great use across many different clients in different areas. And Ashland is here from Because. I mean, she's an amazing person and has an amazing tool. And, we collaborate all the time in the sales process, implementation process, and, really getting together with clients and working through helping them to understand what the tool is capable of doing for them. And, then not just, the whole sales and implementation process, but then following through and seeing how those implementations play out, and not just in the interest of getting a case study done, but also, you're checking and making sure that your assumptions are correct about, what you think is going to work and not going to work, so you know to recommend the right thing the next time, or if you find issues, with a platform that you love, communicating that back to your partners so that they can help, rectify those issues quickly, and it's I mean, it goes well beyond the sales cycle, right? And I know we're talking specifically about enterprise and closing deals, through strategic partnerships, but I mean, I think that, really good, empathetic, strategic partnerships between platforms and agency partners, really has to focus on a full life cycle.
Yeah, to add something different, I suppose, to what both of these guys have said, I'd say like one area of collaboration that we look for is like around our events and things that we put on. So where, we're getting the benefit from working with that sponsor and that they're sponsoring our event, we're bringing the brands there, and then we're co-collaborating on who we want there, why we want them there, and then we can kind of target brands in a different way together. We went to Glenn's Clavio event the other week, and one of our clients was there that we didn't know was going to be there, and we'd referred them to Glenn. And then someone from Dataships was there, and I was like, oh, you need to get Dataships installed. And then they've set up a call now as well. And it's like just kind of facilitating those introductions where it's natural, I think, but also having like that bigger planning session as well, and like looking at the different events and things that people can get involved in. And that's one of the things that we look for when we are partnering up, especially with like new tech, like how are they going to support us as well as us supporting them.
Can every agency here raise your hand? Anyone who's an agency? Now keep your hand up if you get at least one partnership inquiry a week. A day.
Oh, do you mean from
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you used like referrals, and I was saying.
It's every day, at least, a handful come in. And I think it goes back to empathy, right? I think it has to be two ways. We get hit up regularly, right? And it's okay to say no. You got to say no, right? Even if you share an opportunity or a customer. If you have one customer with a partner and that partner, isn't going to get your full attention, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to your people to attempt to force a partnership, regardless if you're going enterprise or SMB, regardless of who the merchant is. It's important to be able to say no, not right now. Let's wait until next quarter. Let's wait until the following quarter. We can keep the conversation going, but, say no. And sometimes it's harder said than done, right? Because you're afraid it's going to affect your name now, your agency. Oh my God, Hassan's an asshole, right? He said no. It's better said than continuing to keep that conversation going. I'd rather say no and let's talk about it as we progress. Let's do an event together maybe next month and see how that goes. Before we get into the crossbeam of things, right? Everyone wants to jump on crossbeam. I fucking hate crossbeam. I hate the word. I hate people bringing it up. It's not a Rachel Jacobs event without saying the F word, right? So, box checked. Anyway, getting back to my point, before doing an event, before doing cross-beam, before doing any of these things, it's important to take that step back to determine if that partnership even makes sense. Is it going to waste their time and your time? And we've all heard the terminology, time is our most important asset. You're taking your people away from supporting your customers, from doing their job if you're forcing too many partnerships on them. We have a bucket of partnerships, not a net of partnerships. It's a strategic partnership for a reason. We're very specific on which partners we actually partner with. We try to eliminate the competitive landscape so that they're not worried about having another competitor in that conversation. Now, it's never the other way around, right? Like they'll bring in 5, 10 agencies, right? So that'll never happen. I think it's important to be specific, strategic, and it's going to help them as much as it's going to help you and your people.
I totally agree with that, and I think it's a really good point about the saying no, and that was the biggest mistake that I made when I first transitioned into the partnerships world, because I was like, wow, who are all these people, what do they do, trying to understand it all, and I was trying to, and it just wasn't sustainable, and it wasn't effective, it wasn't going in. And I think what I realized sort of like 5-6 months in is the importance of having those strategic partners. So I guess like it's, find your people. And unfortunately, you're going to come across people that you just don't vibe with, you just don't gel with, or perhaps their offerings are not great for you or your agency or whatever. I think you need to make peace with that quite quickly. That was somewhere I made a bit of a mistake, because I was like, do they like me? Have I done a good enough job there? Look how many people's in this room. We physically can't partner with everyone in this room. It's just naturally not possible. So I think it's really important to have a clear map of who your strategic partners are, why is that, and then really invest in those for like a sort of full quarter. If you commit to sort of like 5 tech partners, 5 agency partners to that quarter, make sure you have an hour's call with them every quarter. Make sure that you do something that's going to be mutually beneficial to really build on that. And then, mark them and grade them like where they're at. Are these an active partner? Are they a lapsed partner? Are they a bad fit? I think that's, getting organized with it is sort of what I had to do sort of like 5-6 months in, because I was very much overwhelmed. So yeah, I just thought that was a great point, and I wanted to add that as a bit of a win.
Don't force it.
Don't force it.
Don't force it.
Yeah.
It's not fair to them or to your team.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be more empathetic to your cause too, because now I as a partner can focus on the right agencies for me and my team, and I'm not wasting my time on you right now. I'm focused on the right partners for me. They may not be able to help you go enterprise. They may not specialize in enterprise. So I think that's something, if you're looking to go enterprise, right, is to have that conversation. I think it was Matt who was up here and said, you got to pick your lane, right? Is it enterprise or is it SMB? You can't do both. I would argue, depending on the situation, right? Because you've got mid-market folks that then evolve to get to enterprise. But I think from a partnership standpoint, you have to communicate. You must communicate. And it's so simple, right? Just say it.
And I think you get a lot back when you say that first initial no, to what that partner's reaction is to your no. Because if they respect that and say, yeah, that's fine, we'll book it, we'll check in a few weeks, you're probably onto a good, and if not, probably not your people.
I've always never loved when people did this, but I'm going to be one of these people. It applies in partnerships, compares this to dating and relationships. As the summary of what you all have said is, if you want to get married and have kids, you got to find a partner that wants the same thing so you can go together, right? Can't convince someone who's not looking to go that way. So it's really about getting aligned and figuring that out. So we're just going to close out here, going to give everyone an opportunity to share with the audience a bit of like tactical feedback or a piece of advice or a key learning that you've had in strategic partnerships that you can leave the audience with today. No I'm putting you on the spot, but just sort of, the biggest needle mover that you've had. And Carolina, I know you have like an incredible partner program, so I'm just gonna kick it off to you to start since you're close to me.
I think actually just echoing the conversation like Hassan and Glenn were just having as well, like that was something I learned very quickly when first starting in partnerships as well, is I wanted to, it's a people focused role, like you want people to like you, it's kind of your reputation as well. So I very much also said yes to everyone and very quickly realized that it's not going to work out. So now internally, we've built out like our own sort of partner program, very much kind of echoing like what a tech partner program looks like, where we've really kind of tiered out our partners and sort of like a tier 1, kind of tier 2, and let's say like emerging partners. And that's been very helpful, I think, to kind of like focus our energy as well. And like with that, we've really kind of tiered them across different categories too, of like obviously like active, not so active, but kind of give them a rating almost, and like how good has our like delivery team's experience been working with them, whether it's kind of like on like customizations, roadmap, helping escalate kind of like client success issues as well. How has our clients' experience been with them? Like there have been partners where we've kind of thought it's all fine and dandy, and then we start getting some pretty rough feedback from our clients, and that's obviously very important. Because I think, like we kind of alluded to earlier as well, like if we're, as the agency, recommending a tech vendor to support, like whether it's someone's like email platform or customer success, and that goes really poorly, our neck is kind of on the line for that recommendation as well, especially if we kind of, went at it with our full chest. So it's very important to kind of really keep tabs on that. And then I think obviously like lastly, just like making sure there's a really good fit from like an ICP and sort of like technical perspective is obviously absolutely like very important, or else how are you going to work together really? But yeah.
I'll be brief. I think I took too much time. I think a human-centric approach is imperative. I think it's important because that dirt won't wash off, right? Like they're not going to be upset with this tech partner I bring in. They're going to be upset with me. And I go back to my merchant days. I got in trouble, right? They don't give a shit about this, tech partner. It was me who brought them in. So you gotta put yourself in that merchant's shoes. I was in those shoes, and I mean, I got in trouble for things that I did. So being on this side of the fence, it's why I'm so careful to not just bring someone in. And it is hard to say no. It is, because you want to make everyone happy. This is a fucking great community. It truly is. I mean, we're so fucking lucky. Look around. I mean, competitors, that's bullshit in this space, right? Like we're friends, not frenemies. We are friends. We push opportunity to one another, and we're lucky.
Oh, that was really powerful. I can't go after that. I was just going to say be organic, be natural, and work together, like in a collaborative way.
I'd say know the platforms. I mean, know what they're capable of. Everybody's diversifying now, and they have a lot of different product offerings. So know how that interrelates to everything that you might be able to build for your client. I think that's really critical. Take the time. I mean, I'm in business development, so you kind of have to be a jack of all trades, master of none to the extreme. So I think personal education, really understanding all of those platforms and what they're capable of doing is super important.
I'll also keep it brief because I spoke too much. I sort of give a few tips before, but I think the key one would be definitely get organised, choose your strategic partners, and plan out what you want to achieve with those guys, and go away then and execute on it. I think that's amazing. And just to add on to the point about like the community, I mean, if I'd have said this a few years ago and was outside the industry, it would really give me the ick, but it is an incredible community, and it's so like, people have now become my friends, and that's so cheesy, isn't it, when people say that, but I think we can all attest to that being true. And where I've seen so much success, because I'm brand new to the partnerships world, 18 months ago, is that some incredible people, even in this room, have really helped and supported me when I've just been vulnerable and said to them, I'm out my depth, or what's this, can you help me? So yeah, big thank you and shout out to those people as well, because you know who you are. So that would be my advice.
Lovely. Guys, let's give a round of applause for this wonderful audience.